So the next one that we wanted to talk about was video, which is obviously not a new thing in the same way as thought leader ads are. But it's super important, and it's only getting more important. I mean, we have a pretty good relationship with LinkedIn. We talk to them a lot, and they're always telling us, like, video is the future. That's what they're prioritizing. They're seeing themselves going forward as a video first platform in terms of content. And yet, I don't think there's many brands that are thinking strategically about video and creating a video strategy for LinkedIn or social in general. So maybe you could start off just by talking about LinkedIn's pivot to video and what it means for brands.
Yeah. So LinkedIn have been pushing video hard now for a long time. They've been really beating this drum. And that's because they see higher engagement rates with video, and they're just seeing how their users are engaging with video on the platform and seeing that that's the way to go. Also, I guess, following other platforms that are having a lot of success with video. So it kind of makes sense. And I was with LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago at their Dublin HQ. It was a few days where agencies got in the room and they were talking us through the latest trends and latest best practice. And they had a whole section on video. And they did this really interesting study where they audited 13,000 different B2B video ads. And it's the largest video ad analysis that's ever been done, apparently.
Wow.
And so they audited all of them to try and find out what the videos that are resonating best on the platform. And one type of video that's resonating best is cinematic video.
Yeah.
And this is the type that actually isn't going to be accessible to most brands that are just not going to have the budgets. So an example of this is you might have seen the Salesforce videos doing the rounds on LinkedIn, where you've got Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson doing these really cool, cinematic, funny videos.
Yeah.
And they work brilliantly because it's almost doesn't seem like an ad. It seems like cinema, and it seems fun. It's like a blockbuster. So we buy into that and we engage that. But I don't know about you, but at Winbox, we don't have the budget for Matthew McConaughey. It'd be great if he does do an ad for us. But
one day.
One day, but it's not going to happen. And most brands don't. So for a lot of people, yes, we know that works, but it's not going to be accessible.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. The other video ad format that works best is personal-based stories, narratives, which is basically someone within your organization, so a thought leader, like we talked about before, talking to camera and just sharing some knowledge, some advice, some expertise, some product-related information, telling a story about your product, but just basically showing who they are and talking to camera and talking about your product. And that is actually accessible to every brand, really.
Totally.
They should have one person or multiple people within their company who will be happy to do that and are comfortable on camera, or they can learn to be. Everyone has a smartphone, and you can just get your iPhone, set it up so it's nice and still, and just shoot a video that way. The video quality and even the sound quality is often really good that way.
Yep.
Maybe some slight editing on there, adding some captions, but it doesn't need to be much because you want it to look raw and look genuine. That tends to be what works best. So that's an ad format that works best on LinkedIn alongside the cinematic ads, but that is an ad format that is a video ad format that is accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And what's quite interesting on this as well is for one of our clients, their best performing ad by far, and we spent ages crafting loads of beautiful videos, beautiful images for them for the ads. The best performing ad for them so far is a really shaky video of Mark Ritson doing a talk, name dropping that client and saying how good they were.
Yeah.
And that outperforms everything else that they do. And it's like 5 seconds, 10 seconds or whatever. It's on a shaky iPhone recording with a little bit of overlay, but it works perfectly because it's raw, it's authentic, it's genuine. It looks natural in the feed. Yeah. And I think that's a key point that we want to get across, is that it's got to look natural.
Yeah. It looks like it's from an actual person, not from a brand. So I actually edited and captioned that one. And I remember the client saying, can we tidy it up? Can we stabilize the footage and stuff like that to try and make it look good? And I said, definitely don't do that. Like the only chance like a piece of footage has, if it's kind of like very lo-fi like that one, is that you embrace how it looks and the fact that it's a bit imperfect. And I think it performs much better because of that. And I didn't really even do like a proper caption. I kind of captioned it in the way that you would like an Instagram reel with like some like laughing face emojis. I think I just said what with a couple of laughing face emojis. So it just felt real and organic, like something a person would put out there to friends. Yeah, the breakdown in video performance is super funny. I think there's this, as you put it, there is the cinematic stuff, which is almost like TV ad level production. That's great if you've got those kind of budgets, right? And I think that especially if you can have like celebrities in there, it's going to perform really well just because people are familiar with those faces and they're going to stop and watch. I think once you get below that, there is this kind of weird principle at play, which is almost the more that you try and spend on it, sometimes the worse the performance gets.
Yeah.
And there is this trap, I think, which is you are not spending enough money to make something which is absolutely awesome and has Matthew McConaughey in it, or is just like super entertaining and well shot and really creative. You're kind of in the 10 to 20K range where you're just doing a kind of glossy shoot somewhere that looks generically professional. And you have people on camera who are clearly trying to remember some kind of script. And it all feels wildly inauthentic and very B2B circa 2010. And that is like the worst type of video content in the feed.
Yeah.
Because it just screams like this is super boring B2B marketing.
Yeah.
And should be ignored and scrolled past. I think you're totally right. The stuff that, you know, we see work really well for our clients, and certainly that I see working well for us and most warm to when I see it on the channel, it's people with a phone or on their laptop. You know, it feels like user-generated content that anyone could create. The key thing is A, that it feels kind of real and authentic, and B, that they're talking about stuff that like actually matters to the audience. And I think that like it's really easy with video content to fixate on the lighting and the cameras and the studio and all of that stuff. And then when you actually get down to it, there is no content in the content.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing of substance being said. It's just like some members of a senior leadership team just kind of waffling.
Yeah.
And it should be like the other way around. Like don't fixate on the production values, fixate on the value that you're going to add, or like the why. Like why should somebody watch past the first 3 seconds? I think there's another aspect as well, which is like the hook. A mistake that I see people make all the time, and definitely like, you know, clients will send us videos being like, will this work as a video ad? And it will open with about 5 seconds of nothing.
Yeah.
You know, 5 seconds of just a slow fade from black to another color with a logo over it. It's like the worst hook you can imagine. Whereas what you want is it just to jump straight into the most interesting 2 or 3 seconds of that video, and then do like a big screen wipe and then go back to the start.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm doing hooks at the moment. You know, I was working on one for a client the other day and just opened with, you know, a close-up shot of the person I'd interviewed. Again, just, you know, with a mic like this in front of the laptop. And it just says, that's a saving of £23,000 a year. And then it goes, woof, and then you cut back to the start of the interview clip. It's only 45 seconds long or something like that. But that's how to kind of think about the hook, is like hit them with the most impactful thing. Big savings are always impactful. People care about saving money, and then go back to the start of the clip. And that works a lot better.
Yeah, that's a really important point, because if you think about the average dwell time on the ad is 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So if that first 2.5 seconds is just the logo, people know it's an ad and it's marketing. I'm just going to scroll on by, which is really easy to do when people are just scrolling on their mobile. And I think it kind of talks to as well what works best to an overall concept in the ads that we talk a lot about, which is that what tends to work best is ads that don't look like ads.
Definitely.
They look native in the feed. And I think that if you are sharing best practice or you're sharing your thought leadership, that doesn't come across as an ad. Like, I'm going to get something from watching this. It's going to be valuable.
Yeah.
So that's beneficial. So I think it's important to think about that when you are creating these videos as well and creating all of your ads for LinkedIn.
Definitely.
What was interesting about that study as well is that they found that the least performing video ads, the kind of worst performing, were the style where people might have almost like a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
And they kind of try and animate that together into an ad. But again, that looks like an ad. It just looks like marketing. So people will see that in the feed and go, okay, now I'm just going to scroll on by this. I don't want to be itched. I don't want to see this. That's not why I'm here. And also it just looks not low production in terms of like raw, but it just looks like low effort and it doesn't look that exciting. So that's a format that really doesn't work very well either.
I'd add to that. We're now just dunking on different types of video ads, but I'm going to keep it going. I'd add to that like the animated explainer, which was a really big thing like around 2015. For some reason, everyone got it into their head that like if you want to explain what a product does, the last thing you should do is show the product. You should like have like a jolly little man walking around a town and then like, you know, have these kind of icons animate in and out of the screen. Do not make animated explainers. The best way to show the product and explain what the product does is just get one of your team to record a loom, which I think is £12 a month.
Yeah.
And it's so cheap and it works so much better. And again, because it's slightly lo-fi, it feels raw, it feels real, and people will forgive the person presenting the odd the odd ah. You know, it doesn't need to be scripted. It can be imperfect because that's the nature of those videos. That they feel kind of informal and improvised. So I'm really bullish on two types of video content. The first is what you described, the kind of the one that feels like user-generated content. People just recording what they're doing on a phone between meetings. You know, just creating content on the fly. I just think it's really immediate. And then looms.
Yeah.
And, you know, other kind of like screen recording style videos, which are just great for showing off the product. If you want a slightly higher production value version of Loom, there's a great app that I use occasionally called Screen Studio, which it does a similar thing, but you can like zoom in on specific parts of the screen, zoom back out. It sets up the shot in a much more attractive way than Loom or Vidyard do. So that's quite good for content creation if you want to find that middle ground. But yeah, definitely don't spend like $3-4 grand on an animated explainer in which you never get to see the product because it's just a colossal waste of your budget.
Yeah. Or even worse, do you remember there was a phase a while ago where it was like the hand drawing whiteboard?
Yes.
Like little videos that
everywhere.
were really cheap to produce. I think they're probably done by AI now.
Yeah.
But that was everywhere. So yeah, maybe avoid that as well.
Yeah.
And so questions to you from a creative standpoint when it comes to videos. What about the length of the video in terms of there's been a lot of talk recently about like TikTok style videos, really short, snappy videos, quick cuts, quick shots. Or there's more of the long form content, which is, I guess, similar to what this is, and podcasts and YouTube videos. Where do you think LinkedIn sits on that spectrum, or what can work well in the feed on LinkedIn?
Yes, I would say it comes down to what your goals are. Always with content, it's like, what are you trying to do and why? I would say, generally speaking, you know, this is a long form piece of content that's going to live in YouTube. We are going to make short form edits for social. And that distinction is important. If you just take like a 30-minute long video and stick it on LinkedIn, it's going to be in the news feed, which is like an extremely competitive information space. It's going to be really hard to hold on to someone's attention for that long in the news feed, whereas it will be easier on a platform in a context where that's what people are going there for, if that makes sense. So that's the first thing not to do. You know, we have clients sometimes send us the entire version of their webinar and say, can we put this on LinkedIn? It makes no sense. But what does make sense is to chop it up and take out the best bits. In terms of creating content for LinkedIn's newsfeed, I would say, for me, I do like 30 to 90 seconds. I wouldn't go that far over that. That's not to say that if you do that, it will fail massively. It's just that I think that it forces you to make decisions about the edit, because you need to be really intentional with video content. You need to be intentional with all content, but I think with video specifically, because it's so easy to lose people. So like a really powerful hook in the first 3 seconds that's just going to get someone to stop scrolling ultimately and watch. from there, I read a fascinating piece recently that said there's another hook that you need at around 7 to 10 seconds. So that first 3 seconds is stop and scroll. 7 to 10 is, shall I watch the rest of this video? And that's like, you need to quickly sum up the value of sticking around. And from there, you just need to make sure that every 10 or 15 seconds, like, it's worth sticking around for.
Yeah.
And I think that if you aim for a shorter video, you're going to be more likely to be really decisive and really intentional.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like you're putting out something that's 4 minutes long, you might hold on to people. That's not to say that everyone's just going to tune out just because they see it's a long video. But I think you're more likely to leave in stuff that doesn't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you've got more time to fill.
Yeah.
That said, we run some video ads for clients and they're 2.5 minutes and they work just fine. But I think it is worth, like, when you're editing the video, being really intentional about how you're holding on to people's attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is interesting. For me, I think mainly you want those short, sharp videos, but you can have a blend.
Yeah.
Because if the content is good enough, people do have long attention spans.
Yeah.
Because they do watch 20-minute videos, I think is the average maybe on YouTube. So they do have that attention span, but the content needs to be good enough. I think an interesting consideration here as well is the fastest growing demographic on LinkedIn is Gen Z.
Yeah.
And that is a generation that is more used to these TikTok style videos, these kind of short, sharp videos.
Yes.
And I think that we need to keep that in mind when we're creating content for the feed as well.
Yeah. We should do an episode on Gen Z and LinkedIn. I think that would be a really fun one.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely changing the vibe. You know, the kind of much more informal, jokey, memey tone of voice you're seeing come through, I think is definitely being driven by that new demographic. But yeah, as you say, the quality of the content is the most important factor.
Yeah.
If it is rubbish, it doesn't matter if it's 11 seconds long. You're still going to lose people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it's amazing and you are dropping value constantly, it could be 4 or 5 minutes long. Why not? Like, if you're still solving people's problems, and as you say, it's good to have a mix. I think that, and this is my point at the start about being intentional, there are pieces of content which are there for just a quick connection, right? It's kind of silly, it's funny, it's quick to consume, or it's just tactical. It's just did you know this?
Yeah.
Go try that. And that's fine. And those things can be short. But if you want to tell a broader story or a deeper story or go into more detail, build more trust, then it needs to be longer.
Yeah.
And maybe you make peace with the fact that, as it gets longer, your view through rate is going to probably get shorter. And that's okay in some cases.
Yeah. And it's interesting because LinkedIn are launching soon their new brand shows on LinkedIn. I think they might have released a couple and it's kind of a slow rollout.
Yeah.
But this is where you've got well-known creators like Stephen Bartlett who will be creating videos on LinkedIn, and it's longer form content that people can go on the platform and watch.
Wow.
And I wonder whether that's going to help with longer form content kind of doing better on the platform, and people will be more used to going to the platform to watch those sort of videos.
Yes.
From an ads perspective, what advertisers can then buy is ad slots at the start of that video. And then that means that you can associate your brand with that creator. So you can kind of pass on their affiliations, similar to if you were sponsoring a podcast.
Yeah.
So that's something that LinkedIn are launching soon as well.
Are they going to be producing it?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Because some of the worst video content I've ever seen on LinkedIn is from LinkedIn.
Okay.
It's unbelievable. It's just, I mean, LinkedIn is a big corporate business. And so, as you'd expect, it's pretty corporate. It's pretty old school. I've seen some ones more recently where they're kind of a bit more informal and doing things like we've been talking about in this video, but it used to be, a very formal shoot with someone obviously reading a script. Often talking about how great video content is on LinkedIn while making really quite odd video content.
Yeah. With video content, just from an ads perspective, why we really like it.
Yeah.
And we really like it because it does get good engagement on the platform. It's a great way to deliver your message, but also it's a brilliant way to build up retargeting audiences, which are very important on the platform. That's where most of your conversions will come from. So what you can do on LinkedIn is you can build a retargeting audience based on if someone has watched 25%, 50%, 75%, or I think it's 90% of your video. And then you can target those retargeting audiences with other ads that might be further down the funnel, like social proof ads or call to action ads or inviting them to an event. So I think they do work really well as an ad format, more towards the top of the funnel to build up those retargeting audiences quicker and cheaper than some other ad formats. To help you to capture demand from the channel as well when you're seeing those signals of intent by people watching a good proportion of a video.
Yeah. It's worth as well mentioning thought leader video ads.
Yes.
Like incredibly high performing, like really, really good. The combination of video content and thought leader ads is like really, really strong. I mean, we know a few people in our space. AJ, that's like the backbone of his strategy right now, isn't it? Thought leader video ads, I think you said. And certainly we're running them for ourselves and for our clients, and it works really well. Yeah, in terms of the campaign, I think they work really well at the top of the funnel. Like if you're going for that kind of awareness level campaign, video absolutely needs to be a part in there. And I think in the past, it would be maybe like 5 to 10% of the ads might be video. But I think going forward, it needs to be a much more balanced mix.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly for ourselves, which is the only account where we really have like absolute control over what it's possible to create, because we control our own budget in terms of, you know, Winbox's ad strategy. You know, we prioritize video really just because we see the results. It's just like really, really high performing ad campaign, which I guess just comes back to what we were talking about at the show, which is LinkedIn's prioritizing video. It wants to see itself as a video first platform because video has the best retention. I think it's interesting what you were saying about as well. You know, you can look at what a lot of LinkedIn is doing right now and the changes they're making to the algorithm with regards to, you know, relevance is now more important than recency. So, you know, what you post is much more important than how often you post. And then moving towards video and away from just text and image. And you mentioned this kind of creator, what was the name of that again?
Brand shows, I think they call it, or brand link.
Yeah. Oh, brand link. Yeah. I have seen them talking about that. Brand link. You know, all of these moves are about user retention, right? And getting people to spend more time on the channel and getting brands to spend more time creating higher quality content.
Yeah.
And stuff that's less kind of throwaway and bite size.
Yeah, and that is the good thing about LinkedIn is they are all about member engagement. And not just all about the ad revenue. And that's because they're very unique to the other platforms in terms of they don't just rely on ad revenue for their revenue. They obviously originally were more of a talent solutions business, and then they've got their sales solution business, and they've got their premium offers. Marketing solutions is just a part of that.
Yeah.
And without good member engagement, all of the rest of that falls down.
Yeah.
So they are genuinely about member engagement, as well as they want to make ads revenue and they want to be as profitable business as they can be. But I think that's why a lot of these new features that they do roll out do have that member engagement at the heart of it.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about creating content for the channel and when you're thinking about ads, that needs to be front and center. Like what is going to be interesting and relevant and is going to really engage our audience and the members on there. Because if you do that, they tend to perform better. Yeah,
it's going to be one thing I think will be interesting to see as well. And I guess maybe these changes are part of these efforts is LinkedIn's resistance to becoming another like brain rot channel. You know, Instagram and TikTok, which I really don't use. But when I do go on there, I do see stuff from there. You know, people talk about brain rot. It's just unbelievably low quality video content. And it means nothing. It adds no value. It's just kind of addictive.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, LinkedIn are probably trying to do the absolute opposite of that and trying to make sure that like this isn't noise, this is signal.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get people to create high quality content that actually means something.
Yeah.
It doesn't just get engagement for its own sake.
Do you remember when they rolled out that new feature on the mobile app, which was like the stories feature or like the video reels? And they quite quickly sunlighted that.
Just vanished.
And I think it was because a lot of the videos, I don't know about you, but when I was watching them on there, they weren't relevant to me.
Yes.
And they didn't seem that interesting. It wasn't my connections or people who I follow and those influencers I want to hear from.
Yeah.
It wasn't kind of like expertise from them. It was more so creators that aren't native to LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Trying to get a new audience on there.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether that's part of the reason why they kind of sunlighted that quite quickly and we don't see it anymore.
It was incredibly generic content from people. You could tell they had like a good studio setup. They often look like they were creating, as you said, for like other channels. And they would talk about like 5 things to do in your next interview. Whereas like what people go on LinkedIn for is often really detailed deep dives on what they do for a living.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably where they're trying to get to, which is a good move.